Wow, this seascape really makes me think about perspective. You ever heard of perspective before? Perspective is really, really important, especially for setting a scene and creating a 3D environment. And we're going to do that today. So let's get ready. Let me tell you a little something about the undersea adventures of Captain Eli. Concealed beneath the ocean's waves lies a secret. For thousands of years, a war has been raging between undersea kingdoms. The age-old conflict threatens to surface, engulfing the entire planet. It's up to Captain Eli and his allies to stand and defend the world from total destruction. Traveling through time and space, Captain Eli and his fellow inventors and explorers, the Sea Searchers, led by the amazing Professor Wow, reveal evidence that alien races secretly live beneath the waves. The mysterious hero Commander X guides Captain Eli as he discovers a hidden history of the world. For centuries, the refugees of Atlantis and Lemuria have been waging a secret war in the sea for domination of the planet. Control of a strange alien power source called the Star Gift and a time portal in the Bermuda Triangle are the sources of the conflict. Lord Hydro is a blue-skinned nobleman of Aquaria, the underwater empire founded by the mutated amphibian descendants of Atlantis. He seeks dominance of Aquaria and eventually the world, fulfilling an ancient prophecy that Atlantis will rise again. His weapons of mass destruction are Hydrons, an army of artificial eel men, and their fish-shaped flying submarine warships called Vaxili. The Hydrons were used in the ancient war between Atlantis and Lemuria. Who knows what will happen next?
And now, let's get ready to draw. You will need several sheets of paper and a pencil and a ruler. Grab your supplies. We'll wait.
Okay, we're going to draw our scene together, and really stick with me here. It may be kind of scary to begin with, but I think it's going to be kind of interesting. We're going to make a city, but we're going to make a city in a tropical place, and you'll see why in a second. So grab your first piece of paper, and right across the middle of your paper, with your ruler, draw a straight line. Okay? Now this straight line creates something very, very interesting here. We now have ground and we have sky, and that line is called a horizon line. Now, a very important thing with perspective is creating something called a vanishing point. Right in the middle of your paper, I want you to make just a little dot. Now, eventually you're going to erase that little dot, but that vanishing point is incredibly important because everything in our scene is going to relate to that point, and that's why it's going to look three-dimensional. Now, if you've ever seen railroad tracks, they're parallel lines, very much like this ruler. These are two parallel lines. But when you tip parallel lines in space, the lines meet. So what we're going to do is right from this point, we're going to draw a line coming down like this, and then another line coming down like that. You guys might have already done this in art school before, creating a road going off to infinity. Okay? But if you look at it from a flat perspective, it's a big triangle. Okay? Easy enough. Now, I'm going to draw some light guidelines right down the middle. Much thinner, going all the way down, something like that. Okay? So I've got sort of a wedge going up my road. And then I'm going to block off little rectangles. And this is going to be the meridian line in my road. So let me block them off. And the whole thing with perspective to always remember is things closest to us are much larger, and as things go away, they get smaller. So in each place here, the rectangles get a little smaller until they disappear. I'm going to erase those lines just so you can see the illusion we're creating. So now we have a road going on forever. Okay, we're going to make a row of buildings. We're going to put a whole city right here over on the side. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, first thing we're going to do is just make a rectangle way over at the side. Don't go all the way to the edge. Right about here, I want you to draw a tall rectangle, kind of like that. Okay? Now this is where guidelines are really important, and your vanishing point is very important. Let's go up to the top of that rectangle, have it meet the vanishing point, and let's draw a very light line, guide line, all the way down. So you get something like that. And then let's go from the bottom of the building and go all the way up to the vanishing point and draw another light guide line, kind of like that. And look what we got. We got a big wall now going on forever. Now we don't want a big wall, we want to have buildings. So we're going to go in a little bit, half the width of the building from the side here, about halfway. And then I'm going to draw another line, but that line is going to start at this guide line, and then it's going to end at the other guide line. Look what we get. There we go. Going to darken in the bottom, darken in the top. Let's erase the horizon line that gets stuck in the middle and see what we get. Pretty cool, huh? We have a building now sitting right next to that road. Now we can go on and make more and more and more buildings. I'm going to make a building even taller than this building behind it. So pretend we've got a rectangle here. I'm making it taller this time. It's overlapping, going all the way down to my guideline here. And this time I can square it off. Just the way this is squared off, square that off. Okay? I already got a guideline. Now I need a new guideline. Look how steep this guideline is. I start at the top of my taller building and then go all the way down to the vanishing point. Look what I get. All right? Let's give that some width. So I'm going to go in here like that. And then I'm going to put another face to the building. Look what we get. Let's go in and darken that off there. Let's erase some lines we don't need as we go along. See what we get. Right? And then I can darken this guideline here because it fits in. Now I've got two buildings together. And this can go on and on. So I'm just going to keep on doing it, and you can do it. You can follow along the way I do it, or you can do it your own way. So I'm going to put in another building like that, square it off. I need a guideline, start at the top of the building, end at the vanishing point. Let's make this one a little wider. Okay. Now I'm going to put another building behind it, taller. There's that one. Need another guideline. As they get taller and further away, you can see these guidelines get steeper and steeper. Put in another width, like that. Darken it up. And I could just keep going, but look, I need to get smaller and smaller and smaller as I go. Pretty cool. We have a whole side of a city now. Now, we're going to make something kind of cool as well. We're going to draw in a whole line of palm trees. So imagine we're in Hawaii or Florida or some other tropical place, or in Asia, where there's a beach and there is a whole row of palm trees right up to the road, right up to the city. Now, drawing a palm tree is really, really difficult, okay? But we're going to make things a little simpler. We're going to make these palm trees into lollipops. I know it sounds crazy, but let me show you what I mean. So for my first palm tree is almost as tall as this building over here. So I'm just going to follow along here. I'm going to make a circle, and then I'm going to make a tall rectangle. And this is going to indicate my palm tree, the lollipop I was talking about before. So at the bottom of the lollipop, going up to the vanishing point, we're going to draw in another guideline. Where the stem of the lollipop meets the candy itself, we're going to put in another guideline going to the vanishing point, And at the top of the circle here, another vanishing point. Now, of course, we're not going to make lollipops. These are going to be palm trees. Eventually, these are going to be leaves, and this is going to be the trunk of the tree. But now that we have these guidelines, we can sort of duplicate this lollipop over and over and over again. So within the guidelines, I'm going to put in another circle. Here's my trunk ending at that guideline. Do it again, and if you notice, the circle keeps getting smaller and smaller. See, I can overlap them a little bit. I don't have to give them as much space. They can start overlapping each other. Let's keep going. Keep going. Pretty cool. But now we got to make them into palm trees. So here's what we do. We go up to the circle and then just start throwing in your leaf shape, going with the circle like that. Follow your trunk down and then taper it at the top and make it wider at the bottom. Now I can do that all the way across. A lot easier to draw the palm trees this way if you start them out as lollipops. And it's way easier to make the perspective work that way than throwing in all that detail. So almost done. See, as I get off into the distance, I don't have to be as careful. I can be a little sloppy with them. Kind of blends in, blurs together, right? So there we go. So now we're going to add some things to give a little bit more dynamism to this picture, to make it a lot more dynamic and a lot more interesting. So right around this tree up back here, I'm going to make a curve like that. I'm going to erase the lines in between the tree trunks, and look what I got. I can actually put a sailboat out there and some waves. Okay. Here's the sand, throw in a little texture. I can put an extra line down this way, and I have a walkway. I can even put some people. Here's somebody walking. Maybe he's walking his dog. All right. And we give it what's called human scale. Now watch this. This will make the scene even more interesting. Right in the back, I'm going to draw, pretend I go through the building, and I draw a big triangle. Look what I get. It really pushes things further back. We now have a foreground, a middle ground, and a background. Those three stages are very, very important in creating scenes. Always remember those words: foreground, middle ground, and background. And if you really want to make a scene look interesting, always keep a foreground, a middle ground, and a background. We can have an extreme background. Look, when I put just these little birds in the back, this sky begins to become activated. And then I can make a whole interesting scene out of this. Hey, I could make this into a volcano. Lava dripping down. That changes the scene, right? I could put a gigantic prehistoric creature, alien creature thing looking over the mountain, right? I can put lots of people screaming and running, right? I can even have some jets flying in, right, to save us from the monster. And it goes on and on and on. So try this at home. Try your own scene and see what you can create and what you can put into the scene. And it doesn't always have to have monsters and volcanoes. It can be a very, very quiet scene as well. But, you know, we're making comics, so have at it.
Always remember, the early bird gets the worm. Oh no, not again.
And now for something really special. What you're about to see was created by students at the Center for Grieving Children in Portland, Maine, in the Multicultural Center. The students created characters and ideas for animated television shows, and I helped out to help create what you're about to see. So here we go.
Hey everybody, I want to say something to y'all. Don't try to change yourself to impress other people, because you're beautiful the way you are. For many months I've tried acting like a human teenager, but still I didn't feel like myself. So I decided to stop acting like a human and be myself. So this is who I really am. I'm a mermaid.
Hi, I'm Popo Jojo. Thanks you for coming to my party. I just got back from America. I ran away to America because I was tired of being a prince. I gave away all my money to the needy. When my money was all gone, I stood in the street and held out a sign asking for money, but no one helped me out. I found a penny and tossed it in a wishing well. I wish to go back home. I'm so glad to be back home. Let's get this party. We're here. It's Cara and Luce.
Coming up next, the Nautilus Theater. Today's episode, The Guardian of Tantarus.
Tibet, 1939. I had arrived from the future a year earlier. My memory was lost, but my purpose was intact. With the help of a list of missions codenamed Shiva, I received 20/20 hindsight to prevent doomsday. This mission to Tibet was different. It wasn't on the Shiva list. Strange, it should have been. It involved my old nemesis, the Red Octopus. Stopping the Red Octopus from finding ancient war machines from Atlantis was the goal of several past Shiva missions. He was now working with the Nazis, which brought him to the attention of U.S. intelligence. My clashes with the Red Octopus had gained some notoriety. After U.S. agents tracked the octopus to Tibet, they gave me a call. The agents briefed me. The Red Octopus was on a monster hunt. He wanted to capture the Yeti, the abominable snowman. Without admitting they thought the creature existed, they asked me to stop the octopus. Without admitting I thought the creature existed, I agreed. The agents asked to tag along. I told them I work better alone. I left the X-copter behind as well. Didn't want to announce myself. A few hours' hike brought me to my destination, the monastery at Coyote. It was rumored that the monks there knew the Yeti and where it dwelt. There was a good chance to pick up the Red Octopus's trail here. Jackpot. The red octopus was here before. He had no need to force the location of the Yeti from the monks. They gave the information gladly. They had no fear that the Yeti could take care of itself. Many had come before to find the Yeti. Some never returned. The few outsiders who did encounter the creature remained in shocked silence to their dying day. A few more hours' climb upward. The air was getting thinner, but I was holding my own. The red octopus's trail was not hard to find. For the red octopus, the Yeti's trail wasn't hard to pick up either. He succeeded where the others failed. But getting the Yeti back to civilization was another matter. I sabotaged their snow vehicle and took the high ground and waited for a chance to ambush. Curveball. Instead of heading back to the snow vehicle, they dragged the Yeti to an ice cave setup. I followed. The red octopus seemed to be trying to interrogate the creature. The language was ancient Lemurian. There were 2 Nazi guards. I wonder where the... When I awoke, I was tied up and stripped of all my gadgets.
Well, well, well. If it isn't my old enemy, Commander X.
Come on, Red. It's always good to see a familiar face.
Familiar, yes. Far too familiar. I was wondering when to expect you. Now that you're here, I'm sure you can be of use to me. The creature won't talk. Maybe you know something about... Tantarus?
Tantarus? Like Tantarus sauce? Goes great with fish and chips. Look, I'm here because I hate cruelty to animals.
That is the typical foolish answer I expect from you. If you won't talk, perhaps this dumb beast will.
Stop! I'll tell you what you want.
Excellent. Your kind-hearted attitude toward animals has always been a great weakness.
I was bluffing, of course. My only chance was to get outside.
None of your little tricks, Commander. The only way off this mountain is straight down.
No tricks. This way. I needed to find a high spot. Lucky for me, they didn't find all my gadgets, like the homing device and remote control sewn into the lining of my glove. Drop your weapons! Release the Yeti!
We don't need weapons to defeat him. That do-gooder will never fire on unarmed men. Attack!
You and your goose-steppers underestimate me, Octopus! I fight harder when the odds aren't in my favor.
No more violence. No more fighting. Stop. Stop this now.
Using telepathy, the creature took control of our minds. He made the guards release him, then put them and the red octopus to sleep. My mind opened up to him. I could hear words without a voice.
I sense you are a friend, different from the people of this time. For 10,000 years, my kind have been the guardians of Tantarus. Tantarus, the underground realm where the last survivors of ancient Lemuria live hidden, their secrets safe. Every 100 years, one of my kind is sent forth to the outside world to look into the hearts of humankind and judge your readiness to unlock the power of Tantarus.
No! Only I shall know the secret.
Get down! Without thinking, I struck out. I could have disarmed him, but my rage took over. I tried to kill him. I might have succeeded if it wasn't for the chute I heard open after he disappeared into the cloud bank. He'd be back, Villains used to do that all the time back in those days. None of that mattered to the Yeti. He was disappointed in me. Maybe the whole human race as well. He turned and disappeared into the snow. I understood why this mission was not on the Shiva list. The list, like the monks, knew the Yeti could take care of itself. I also learned something the Yeti knew all along. The greatest enemy to mankind is not monsters living in the dark. Our own worst enemy lives in our hearts, in every individual's capacity for destruction.
News flash! The Earth is in peril! In the worst of times, the world cries out for a hero. Such a hero is Commander X, the man from the future. Master of the unknown, fighting evil on the land, under the sea, and in the air, as well as the four corners of the earth and beyond. So return to the thrilling days of yesteryear with the man of mystery, Commander X. Who says they don't make heroes like they used to?
Drawing characters is very, very important, but the magic comes in is when you set a scene and put those characters in the scene. That's where the action happens. That's where the mystery happens, and that's how the story unfolds. So drawing from perspective is a really, really important thing. Now remember, the creativity is always inside you, not on the paper. I'll talk to you real soon.